¿Qué onda, everybody? And welcome to Vamos a Echar el Coto. I talked about this on Instagram, so hopefully you guys got the news. But we're bringing our talents to YouTube. Why? Because Instagram just keeps shutting me out during lives. So we're going to be making lives. But today, we're going to echar el coto. And you know what this is? Cotorrear. Cotorrear in Spanish is just chatting. It's just kind of hanging out. And the reason we're doing this is because we're sick of the videos with overproduction, editing every single and everything just feels so fake. So we're bringing you reality. Today specifically, we're going to talk about Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera and whether their love was super romantic or trauma-based with a lot of grooming. But before we get into it, I just want to talk a little bit more about why we switched to this format. Because this is real life. You see my mic? You see how it's painted all over because I have kids? You see my chair because it's painted all over because I have kids? You see this mess I have over here? You see how not everything is perfect? This is real life. You see how we don't have to be speeding up everything super fast? Because this is real life. Let's hang out. Let's relax. Now, I am very excited because I have a studio that I'm working on here in my farm, and I'm going to be painting and everything. But as you guys know, I have kids, so everything is slower. But once I'm in there, I'm very excited to have a really organic, cool backdrop. A little bit of a better lighting, because look at that. This lighting is just my little laptop lighting, but not overproduced, not crazy overproduced, because come on, it's getting to be lame and it's affecting us cognitively. But let's get into today's video. We're going to be talking about Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera. Now, like many of you, I, for the longest time, just loved it. I loved their love. I was obsessed with it. Here's the deal. None of us were really there. So this is my interpretation, okay? This is my opinion and my interpretation throughout the years, okay? Obviously, I wasn't there to be a fly on that wall, but I wasn't there. But let's get into it. So for the longest time, I really thought that it was very romantic. But let me go back to the reason I think I thought that, okay? When I was 14 in Mexico, I had my first boyfriend. And he was an artist, a very well-known artist in our community and in our town. He was older than me. He was 19 and I was 14. Now, unfortunately, this is still very common in Mexico and hopefully a cycle that we will quickly be breaking, because even though I don't blame my family or anything, this is how we were raised. You know, oh, she's very mature. Yeah, she can date him. She's very mature. No. A 19-year-old has nothing to do with a 14-year-old. A 14-year-old is a kid, okay? What are you doing with a 14-year-old? Get out of here, you know? And now we know that, or now I know that. And I was blessed with daughters. I do not and will not have any 19, 20-year-old, 18-year-old around my 14-year-olds. I will have 14-year-olds around my 14-year-olds. But also, I don't wish that love of Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera upon them or upon anybody. So let me tell you the story a little bit. So during that time with my first boyfriend, he was very much a Diego Rivera, you know. Now, obviously, I was no Frida Kahlo, but in my mind, you know, that's what I was hoping to be. However, her story is very tragic. There's so much trauma, not only the accident that she has, the fact that she's constantly fighting against her gender and gender inequality as well in the art world, the miscarriages that she has, just very, very traumatic. And during this time, there's this man that is far older than her that, you know, pretty much brings her up in the art world, even though I consider her art equally, if not better, than Diego Rivera. Diego Rivera was a muralist. And I'm not going to go into a big history lesson. Y'all can check it out if you guys don't know really what I'm talking about. And you guys can check out the movie too, actually. I think Salma Hayek did a great job in that film. And I think overall it was a very good movie. But when you read what Frida Kahlo has written, she even says that she feels at moments that she wasn't truly in love with him. She was just trying to become him. And that's kind of the experience I had in my relationship. There were moments where I thought he was just the coolest person in the world. And all I wanted was to be like him, right? But at the same time, there's a lot of grooming involved, right? Because there's something that he made me believe. And that was that I was like the chosen one, right? I was the main one. But that did not exclude him from having other relationships with other chicks, right? But it didn't matter because I was the main one. So you see how it almost makes it romantic, and in your mind you romanticize it. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm the main one. Like I am it. Meanwhile, this guy's just cheating, as much as he wants because he's this, great artist, and you should be honored that you though are his love. And I was. And what's sad about this is that it went on for so many years. I mean, he had relationships, I had relationships, and I was still supposed to always, have him as the main guy, top guy, drop everything for him. And that's now I understand a lot of grooming involved. There was something he always said to me, and that was that the tale was never over, right? No matter what I did, where I went, where he went, how many women he had, what happened, the story's not over. This tale isn't over. It's over. It's over, okay? Once you grow up and you realize these things, it's over. But why I mirror it to Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera is because I feel like a lot of it was psychological. I mean, we all know that Diego Rivera was a massive cheater and he had any woman he wanted. And it's this weird concept that you do think, well, that's because he's Diego Rivera, And then Frida decided, well, I'm going to do the same thing. You know what I mean? But how healthy is that? Really, how healthy is that? And I think that in our culture, we have a very romantic culture. Oh my gosh, everything's romanticized. Now, it is very different growing up in Mexico to growing up in United States as a Mexican. So I had the kind of taste of both, right? Because in primary school, so from like kindergarten to sixth grade, I was in United States. But for all my teenage years, my junior high, my high school, everything else, I was in Mexico. And one of the things that I noticed when you get to Mexico is, oh my God, boys are so romantic. So are girls. They're all romantic. And I think it's because maybe in United States, you kind of detached from that part. But I'm talking like, I had one boyfriend that made me, and I still have it because it's amazing. He took out everything from like a cassette tape, and I don't know what it's called, the thingy, and he cut paper, different colors, taped it all together, and made it the same length and the same width of that cassette thing. Wrote a letter on it, and then put it back in the cassette. So when you read the letter, you would go like this to the cassette and you would read the entire letter. In the next video, I'm going to show you guys that because it's truly amazing. You have boyfriends making you these giant mantas, we call, which is just like fabric, and they write, I love you or happy birthday. And I used to be in high school and it was, some girl's birthday and the boyfriend's outside the window with the manta, and you're like, wow, it's just stunning. It's amazing. When you're walking with your boyfriend or a boy, he always has you walk on the other side, not where the road is, for protection. There's a lot of things that are still very sweet and very romantic about Mexican couples and Mexican men. However, we still have that weird concept of being able to date much older guys, which is usually the guy, not the girl. And because of that romance, which is wonderful, I think that sometimes people can get away with certain things like grooming or trauma-based romance or just romanticizing everything to a point. Now, for many years, I refused to see it as trauma-based or grooming or anything because it would mean that this entire life romanticness that I had painted would have to go away, and I would have to confront this as something else. And I didn't want to do that. Why would I? Now, this is my personal thought. Romanticization does help because it could get you through a lot. But at the same time, it could hide a lot of trauma and it can hide a lot of things that are not supposed to be hidden. So you have to balance it, right? You can be a hopeless romantic. You can romanticize the world and life, but you also have to have a balance so it doesn't take over or so you don't end up in very, very bad situations. With this person who I dated when I was young, which, by the way, the worst part was he broke up with me after like 6 months of dating. He was my first in everything. And he said he broke up with me because I didn't love him enough. And here I am as a kid, you know what I mean? I am now 15 and I'm crying my eyes out. And I'm like, well, I don't want to act like I'm crying, but I'm clearly crying. And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm just sleepy. I'm yawning, but obviously I'm crying. And he's like, I'm like, what do you mean? Of course I love you. And he was like, well, then you didn't show it enough. You know? That was rough. That was very rough. To know that someone, now I understand, had the narcissism of wanting to be idolized, right? That kind of cult mentality. You want to be idolized. So you're not idolizing him enough. However, after breaking up from 6 months, this lasted 12 years of him still having so much control of over my mind, over the things I did. Like I would, let's say, do something. Like let's imagine I'm like, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, right? And then just chat. And I would be like, would he do this? Would he be okay with it? Would he find it cool? Would he find it like awesome, or would he find it like stupid? That's how I was thinking. And of course, I at that point, I was already 20, having like a 14-year-old girl's mind, because this person impacted me so much. And that's what happens, right? This person is so impactful that they have that grasp in your life. And I feel like that's exactly what happened with Frida Kahlo. And that now that it's history, we still romanticize it or go like, qué bonito, ay, tener un amor como Frida Kahlo y Diego Rivera. And you're like, no. I don't think anyone should have that. I don't think it was safe nor beautiful, I mean, sure, it had its beautiful moments, but I'm sure the chaotic moments were absolutely horrendous. And it's crazy because I never in a million years, honestly, never in a million years, I'm 37 now. I'm 38. I'm 37. Never in a million years did I think I was going to think this way. I was going to say, oh, no, ¿sabes qué? That's not a good romance. I thought I was always going to be like, oh, Diego Rivera y Frida Kahlo. Oh. Or how he would, my ex would do that. He would be like, oh, you're Frida and I'm Diego. And he would call me Frida, Or we had this whole thing. We're very artsy, okay? With Toulouse-Lautrec and Suzanne Valadon. And if you guys don't know him, Toulouse-Lautrec was a painter, a French painter. And she was also a French painter. And they obviously had the same thing, kind of chaotic romance, and but he was your Lautrec and I was the Valadon. It is. The reason, it's not that I'm ashamed, but I'm like, geez, you know what I mean? Here I am thinking I have this crazy maturity, and here I am really getting groomed. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. And I was lucky enough to understand it and comprehend it. But I'm going to be really honest. When I really started comprehending this, it was from my husband's perspective, who had been my friend for like 10 years. We had been friends for 10 years before we got together, started dating, had babies. And he was like, no, that's not right. And I was like, oh shit. Like at that time, all of that was over already, but I had not come to terms to say, yeah, that wasn't correct. So that is my take on Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera. But I want to hear your guys' take. If you guys still think it's very romantic, if you have something to counter it, or if you guys agree from your perspective, okay? And this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be echando el coto with these videos, talking about certain subjects. And then on Thursdays, I will be live on YouTube here to discuss these videos and also discuss anything you guys want to chat about. So again, I didn't even introduce myself at the beginning of the video. My name is Lore. People know me as With Folklore. My name is Lorena Reynoso, but affectionately people call me Lore or Lore, and people know me online and on social media as a creator at With Folklore. Everything you see with Folklore, that's me. All right, guys, it was so nice chatting with you, and I will see you next time. Leave me your thoughts below.